to order. So if Secretary Ardro will take the roll call. I was like, do we have to evacuate? I'm sorry. That was my emergency.
Okay, at 6:33 here, Chair Base Fry,
Here.
Vice Chair Fagan.
Here.
Secretary Ardro is present, and Finance Chair Smith. Present, and we'll start with Coach Neal, Commissioner Neal.
Present.
Commissioner Keefe.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Commissioner Maddox.
Here.
Commissioner Montana.
Here.
Commissioner Bates.
Here.
Commissioner Stryker.
Here.
And we are, tonight's absence, commissioners are Kepler, Moore, and Wenning. And we have Moore.
Great, thank you. Thank you. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending. Hopefully you were in our presence last night during the candidate forum. If not, it's online, so you can take a look at it there. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda items? I do have one, but I'll see if anybody else has. I have to do that. Any additions or deletions? Okay, I'm gonna add two things to the agenda. We have two council members here. And so we will add those two servants of the community on our agenda, and it'll be right under City of Columbus staff reports. They'll go first. They just make an announcement, an announcement or saying hi. Okay, I'll take that one with the Is it too loud? Now you really can hear me. Okay, yeah.
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So approval of the minutes, that's Joe's job. You have any changes
I
or,
have no changes, and I did not hear any.
okay,
If anyone has.
okay. Who wants to put it on the floor for approval?
So moved.
Okay,
Is there a second?
I know, wait for a second.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, the city of Columbus, Yeah, did we approve?
Yes.
Yeah, we approved it. Is it I know, they're always talking.
We're moving kind of fast, so we
Yeah.
can take a breath here.
So, so I so moved.
So, yeah, so, if everybody in favor of approving the minutes would be.
He's helping me.
Yeah, well, we're a team.
We're a team. I was over there last time. Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
Everybody in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. So,
I'll do it then.
no.
Okay, yeah. So now we're going to the city of Columbus staff reports. And first up, we will have Councilmember Green to come forward.
Should I just stand here?
If you just, yeah, put that
You
mic,
got the mic on?
you need to flip it on.
It should be
That's up.
Just like old times.
just like a,
Hello, everybody. How are we tonight? Good. So I didn't really prepare any formal remarks. My name is Melissa Green. I'm a Hilltop resident. It's good to see so many people. Hi, Betty. Okay, to you. Forever, it feels like. But I'm a Hilltop resident and I am your Columbus City Council member representing District 6 here. I am a social worker and currently chair the Health and Human Services and Equity Committee at Columbus City Council. And then I am the vice chair of our building homelessness, our housing homelessness and building committee. And so as a social worker, very excited to be able to bring that perspective into all of that work. I started getting involved in public service over here on the west side, dedicated about 10 years of my life to this community, working first in my specialization of addiction and doing harm reduction work. Lived along Sullivan Avenue and saw firsthand a lot of the needs that exist there, and really wanted to turn my anger and my anxiety about the conditions and the circumstances that some people were living in because of structural challenges and inequities into action. So that is what drove me to council. We are here, I'm here literally all the time since I live just down the street, and are happy to take any questions tonight that you might have. But certainly just want to make ourselves available. We just wrapped up doing a community roundtable, which we plan to do a few times a year here in the community. I think for me, coming from someone who worked in government affairs, doing Olabisi's role for so long, I think it's really, really important to me that we create space for us all to kind of be in dialogue together. And my hope is that as long as it's not disruptive, we can keep doing that ahead of the area commission meeting, because I want to, A, not make another meeting for everyone if you're already going to be here, and B, just have it be as accessible as possible, and hopefully maybe even bring more people to engage in the commission here where the real work in the neighborhood starts. So does anyone have any questions or thoughts or concerns, or compliments are also always welcome? No? Well, I look forward to serving you on council and continuing to partner together for this community that we, I think, all love so much. So thank you very much for your time tonight and letting me pop in for a minute.
Thank you. Next up, we have Councilwoman Nancy Day Archer.
Oh, thank you all so much for having me here this evening. Toughest part about me is that name, Nancy Day Hour. I'm a Day, I married an Hour. I'm accustomed to everyone getting the last part wrong, and that's okay, because that's my husband's last name. Oh, it is great to be at an area commission meeting. I was a Westland area commissioner for 8 years. So I know what you guys do. I really appreciate your commitment to your community, because I all know you're not doing it for the pay. You're not doing it for the glory. You're doing it because you really care about your community. And I hope to inspire more people to be engaged in their community, because it's the collective mind that is going to help us grow our communities and help them thrive. I have served on the West Side for the past decade as a United Methodist pastor. And many of you here I know from all sorts of various things. I said, Kevin Porter's here, Pastor Kevin. And Betty, and I was at a envisioning thing like we did for Vision Hilltop, but for Eastland, and they were doing a focus group, and I remembered you and I kind of doing this virtual drinking game during one of them. Every time so-and-so said. It's mutual telling on each other. So I just wanted to come out and introduce myself to those who do not know me. Melissa and I have teamed up on so many things over the years, particularly in the addiction and harm reduction space. And just loving the West Side and wanting to do whatever we can do to, get this community so that everybody's engaged and things are thriving. And we want that for all of our city. And so that's why I ran, is so I could do more good for more people. The committee that I chair is Neighborhoods, Rec and Park, Public Art and Culture. I like to say I have the fun committee because I get to do all sorts of fun stuff. But we do have some great things that are happening in the space of public art. The West Side has a lot of incredible public art, and a lot of the city doesn't know about it. And so I've been bugging Experience Columbus that they need to do some, like scavenger hunts and walking tours and stuff like that of public art, and to bring people out to the West Side so that they can see the incredible art that is in this community. People just don't know about all the good things that are on the West Side. And when I was serving directly in this community, I would always make people drive all the way out here to have coffee with me, just so that they could, crazy, there's great things happening out here. And so I'm going to continue that advocacy though, and reminding people that there's a lot of great things on the west side. And getting just more attention, more resources to the greater west side. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, great. And my team, Jacob Dilly is my aide. And he's gonna pass out my business card there to y'all. And Warman Masake is my analyst. And so when you contact my office, these are the people who schedule the appointments and make me go here, there, and everywhere to keep me, I'd say keep me in line, but you know. That might take a little bit more. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming in, popping in and making sure that our residents on the hilltop know who you are and what you do. So I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Is Sergeant Brophy here? No, maybe he'll come in later, who knows? From the city attorney's office, our zone attorney coming up to the mic.
What are the odds I can actually get this clipped on me?
You can do it.
Go.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm Rob Dorson. I'm the zone attorney for Zone 3. I think I met pretty much everybody last time. But working in the city attorney's office for former city attorney Zach Klein.
Yeah.
Not working?
Is it green on the top?
So,
Button.
there we go. Better?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. As I said, I'm Rob Dorson. I'm the zone attorney for Zone 3 for Columbus City Attorney Zach Klein. So I think I met pretty much everybody last time, but I see a couple new faces. So I'm going to leave a stack of my business cards here on the table for everybody, in case I'm not able to stick around to the end, but tentatively I will, and hopefully have a chance to chat with folks afterwards. I did bring a list tonight because there's a couple properties that I want to mention to everybody, and then I will just give best update on what's going on with Greyhound that I can. First, I will mention 2958 Sullivan Avenue. That is a building that is here in Westgate, just down the street. It is an approximately 16-unit apartment building that is next to what I believe is now Papa Joe's Pizza, once Massey's Pizza. That is a building that has had, unfortunately, quite a long history of drug activity as well as crimes of violence. We recently, last week, filed a lawsuit against the owners of that building and filed a motion for contempt to reopen a 2016 case that was filed against the previous owners of the building. Again, those prior lawsuits were filed prior to the current owner taking possession of the property. But tentatively, the city of Columbus is optimistic that that's going to be a case where we're going to be able to get some orders from the court that are going to require the owners of the property to do some things to reduce the drug activity at those premises at a minimum. That is set for a preliminary hearing this coming Monday, March 11th. I will just go ahead and share in case anybody has to follow that case closely. That I anticipate there's a strong possibility of delay of that date for procedural reasons, as it is our very first date case. I will briefly mention 1945 West Broad Street. That is the property, if you don't know it by address, it is the structure that is built into the hill across from the Department of Public Safety on West Broad Street. So a very visible building. as you're entering the hilltop on West Broad Street. You can see it there on the screen. I would just mention that there is an open court case on that property. As you can imagine, looking at it, there are some issues with the building as far as code enforcement and the building department are concerned. I just wanted to report to you that that property is in court, and I know that there has also been some very positive publicity with the current owner and the dispatch talking about her plans for the building. I'm just flagging it for tonight and letting everybody know that feedback from the community is very important to me as it relates to that building. And you know, how the city handles the case, I feel, but you know, positive about the conversations we're having at this point with the property owner and the direction that we're going. But you know, feedback from the community is very important to me. As far as Greyhound goes, that was set for a preliminary injunction hearing yesterday. The city did agree to a continuance of approximately 60 days of that injunction hearing. I'm just gonna start by saying that we're agreeing to that continuance because we want to get the station moved at the earliest possible date. Right now, the city is engaged in an ongoing process of looking for alternative locations with Greyhound Barons, the defendants in that case. Indefinite delays in seeking a court-ordered injunction. Indefinite delays would not be acceptable, but I think this current continuance is being done in service of getting the station moved sooner rather than later. And I'm not trying to be opaque when I put it that way. If we go forward with a contested hearing, I expect that Judge Dunn would give the city a fair hearing and give the defendants a fair hearing. Ultimately, it would be up to Judge Dunn what dates he orders for things to happen. And we want to get station moved as soon as possible. And if there's an opportunity to do that through a process of a little bit more negotiation, we ultimately agree that we're willing to give that a chance for 60 days. So I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can about Greyhound or anything else.
Who's taking on the partnership of, you know, working with Greyhound and the bus station in the new location? Like, is that the?
I think I share the Department of Development is involved.
Okay.
Development is involved in it. So. Any other questions? All right, thank you all very much for having me.
Thank you. City Council, Division of Community Engagement, Mr. Callaway.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Testing. Is it going?
Yeah.
You gotta pull it up closer to your.
Here, I'll just do this.
Okay, very good. Again, Cole Callaway, Columbus City Council, Community Engagement Department. I'll be brief since we had our council members here today. I just wanted to briefly speak to the budget being passed on Monday. Some pretty historic investments in public safety, housing, affordable housing specifically, and also minority and small businesses. So if you guys want to know more details about what's passed in it, feel free to contact me. Also, I know everybody, all the area commissions are chomping at the bits in terms of the capital budget. So I just wanted to kind of put a plug out there that we are working through our planning meetings through the chair's office, Nick Bankston. And more information as to how area commissions are gonna engage in that process is gonna be coming in the coming weeks. So another thing that also is the will of the chair's office is to have a participatory budget, as a lot of major cities do, which is a process where the community can directly engage in those dollars and how they are gonna be allocated. So that process is also being developed, so be on the lookout for more information about that as well. That is pretty much it for me.
Any questions?
Any questions? Yes.
Do you know when you would like us to submit our budget priorities?
So that, like I said, we're still having a planning meeting. I think that in the next 2 weeks, we'll have a date in terms of when it will be due. But as of right now, we don't have a set in stone deadline.
Okay, but like April, May.
Probably April, I'm assuming, but I don't know.
Usually in April,
Yeah.
historically for the city council, just see, I told you, just
Yeah.
like that. Historically for the city council, and just like what time, I'm inserting myself where I'm not invited. It has historically been in April that city council has come and requested area commissions to ask, with the exception of last year or 2 years ago during COVID, it got pushed back to June. It would probably be my recommendation if you have a planning committee to just think through maybe in April, setting a meeting just to kind of get together and start brainstorming or something like that timeline might be. We won't send it to you and expect submissions a week later, but just to kind of get the wheels turning. I would definitely start thinking about it in April, probably.
Yeah, we have started planning it, just wanted dates. They'll probably share that in their
What,
updates.
yeah, and so Commissioner, Dean is all on top of it. We had a conversation today on the phone, so he got it all together. Yeah,
Well, feel free to reach out to me if you have any other specific questions. Thank you.
thank you. So next up, we have, Department of Neighborhoods, Olabisi Eddie. She's our West Side Neighborhood Liaison.
Testing.
Oh,
It works, yeah. All right, good evening, everyone. I have a few updates, specifically for the commission. The Department of Neighborhoods, we formed a, area commission fiscal committee, just to, solidify the permanent process for, basically how you guys will be able to process your, spending, and, planning budgets and things like that, going forward. So that first meeting is scheduled, I think, for next Friday at 6 p.m. There are a number of commissioners that are on that committee, one from Westland, fortunately none from here, but, we had to keep it small. The rule, you gotta share only as many people that can share a large pizza, so. Yeah, we're hopeful to, have a couple of meetings where we can get, commissioner input, and then, from there, we're hopeful to have, a process together for you. I don't wanna put a date on it, but I'm looking at maybe summer.
By next, you mean this coming or 2 Fridays? The 8th or the 15th?
15.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to keep going.
And are members of the public invited, or is it just, it's just an internal meeting?
Yeah, it's an internal meeting.
Okay,
for
okay,
now.
just making sure.
Yeah. Thank you. But, if you do have any, input that you would like to share, please let me know. And I'll be sure to pass it on to David Huey, because he's leading, him and Julia are leading those meetings, so we'll make sure to get that feedback. Speaking of fiscal updates, I have, some more. So I know previously we had been operating, under a May through April fiscal year. So that is not going to happen for this year. You guys will be able to spend out, the dollars you have for 2023, 2024 will, be available until the end of this year, until the end of, December. And you will also get, additional funds. So basically, whatever whatever you need, just let me know. As long as it's within reason, we will work to make sure that, you have what you need in order to be successful. So all that said, you know, keep a budget in mind, but don't let that limit you from being able to, you know, fulfill your, mission to serving the community. And that goes along with, the previous restrictions that, you had previously been, held to as well. Like I said, we will find a way to make sure you, have what you need in order to be successful. But one caveat, as you guys are, looking at spending your dollars, please keep in mind that they still need to be a City of Columbus vendor. I know that there have been previous discussions about using, locally based vendors. Definitely encourage that, but we do need to, make sure that they're a City of Columbus vendor in order to be able to process, those orders, so.
Are you done?
No, I still have. a
Okay,
couple
so I have a
more.
question about that.
Mhm.
So what do you mean, a City of Columbus vendor? Do you mean a
So they
vendor
need
for
to
the City of Columbus or just a vendor in the City of Columbus?
They need to register. They need to be like an officially registered City of Columbus vendor. I'm happy to send out that link to any business that isn't currently registered. Yeah, you just need to be part of that system.
And I'm assuming that that can be accessed online, like a database of permits or of what businesses have permits.
Oh, yes, yes. And I'm happy to send out, the link to that along as well.
Thank you.
No problem. And just another note, I know this hasn't necessarily been, an issue with this commission, but, just wanna make sure everyone is aware that, commissions cannot sign contracts or good neighbor agreements. So, I am unaware of, any of that being pertinent to this commission, but just please keep in mind, you know, as you're interacting in the community and things come up, please understand that you cannot sign contracts or good neighbor agreements. I would strongly recommend that you go the route of letters of support. You know, as you're interacting and supporting different endeavors. The next training, is going to be with the city attorney's office. That'll be with Steve Dunbar and, Rob Tobias. That'll be on the 28th of March at 6 p.m. via WebEx. So if you haven't already received a link to register, that should be coming out within the next week or so. So look out for that email from David Hui. Summer youth program funding, the applications have opened for that. That can be accessed through, the Westside Bulletin. Please share that link far and wide. We are trying to, you know, disperse those dollars, you know, as widely as we can to make sure that we can get, keep kids engaged this summer. So, if you know of any, organizations that, would find value in that funding, please share it. You know what? I'm not gonna say that because I'm not gonna steal someone else's thunder. And yeah, that's all I got for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
Any questions from commission members? Or residents, anybody?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Department of Neighborhoods, Nick South. Not here, is he? I don't think so. Okay. All right, that concludes unless Sergeant Brophy showed up. No. So that concludes our City of Columbus staff reports. And so next we have announcements. Are there any announcements from commissioners?
I'll have two.
Okay,
Right, do we want to?
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
One, two, hi everyone, Gerard Rowe. Two quick announcements. One is related to Columbus City Schools. The Columbus City Schools has released the Superintendent's Facilities Task Force Survey. It is open until March 10th, so not open very long. Just came out last week. I found it at ccsoh.us/page/12491. And we've made it available on our socials. If you want that again later, once we're done here, feel free to come up and talk to me. I'll also repeat it one more time right now, ccsoh.us/page/12491. And they're seeking input from the community related to priorities for facilities related to master planning. I'm not going to get into it all right now, but if you or yourself or know someone who would be interested in providing feedback, including all of us commissioners, please do so and try to leverage your networks. It has also gone out on our show. And then secondly, this Saturday at Hiltonia, I believe from 10 to 2, is Franklin County Affordable Housing Resource Event. I'm gonna pop in. I hope I didn't take an announcement from anyone out there, but I should be there at least from like 10 to 11 or maybe a little later. So if I see you there, great. If you're able to attend, please do, or know someone who could use resources relating to affordable housing here in the county. Again, that's this Saturday, March 9th at Hiltonia from 10 to 2.
Hi, everyone. The first announcement is mainly for, well, first to the public, thanks for being here. But we just started an Instagram page in the last month. So if you're on Instagram, please follow us at Greater Hilltop AC. We share updates about upcoming committee meetings and other ways that you can be involved in the Greater Hilltop. The survey that Joe mentioned is also shared on our surveys highlight. So please give us a follow. Commissioners, related to that, please complete your bio, which is just a short questionnaire. It's just your name, when your term ends, what committees you're on, and your fun fact. I can't do your fun fact. And then your picture. So you can just put that into Google Drive, but this is your public announcement that you need to send
Looking at
this.
me.
I'm looking at everyone who hasn't completed it. So please do that. Yeah, so 5 commissioners have submitted and 3 have already been shared. If you give us a follow, you'll see those. Another thing I want to mention, so there is another survey. So the capital improvement priorities were mentioned, and hopefully I'm not taking this away from Commissioners Dallas and Smith. But we are accepting feedback for capital improvements in the Greater Hilltop. We will probably keep that survey up until we get a deadline from City Council. I'm guessing we have, I think, 7 responses so far, and it's been open about a week. So if you could fill that out, it's only 12 questions. So we would really like people to fill that out, and it's pretty guided of what things can be included in capital improvement priorities. That's it. Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners?
Just real quickly, tomorrow, March 6th, the Zone N Advisory Committee meeting is meeting at 4 o'clock downtown 141 North Front Street. I've been participating in that advisory committee over the last year. We did not meet in February, but we are going to be meeting tomorrow at March 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. It is a public meeting. Anybody's welcome.
Thursday, March 7th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Dodge Community Center. The Columbus Central Ohio Building Trades is going to be hosting an apprenticeship career fair for anyone interested in joining labor.
Any other from commissioners? No. Anything from our audience? Any announcements? No, we're so quiet tonight. Are we tired? Yes, go right ahead. If you would stand.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
My name is Shawana, I'm from the Care Coalition, and we have, library hours on the 2nd and 4th on Thursdays of the month, right down here in the room. So, if you know anybody that needs to have conversations based around trauma, grief support, or just need resources to find, therapy, you can stop in and just say hi. We are also tabling, the Glenwood Rec Center on March 15th. Reroute is having March Madness, so that will be at Glenwood Rec Center. So we'll be there. So if you have any kids or you just want to stop out and say hello and support project, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. Any other announcements? No? Well, we're gonna move to presentations. And the first presentation we have is, what would Marcus do? Okay, here.
I don't think they do.
Yes, they did. I emailed them. Yes. But that's okay. We'll put them on next time. Okay, so next up would be, Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP. And we have with us today, Nick Gill.
Great. There we go. So thank you very much for having me here this evening to talk about the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission and our development of the 24 to 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan.
Can you hear?
Am I working? Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with Morrissey, we are a regional council for Central Ohio. We have more than 85 local governments that serve a 15-county region. Working in the areas of transportation, economic development, planning, sustainability. We're a great resource for all things data. You name it, data, we probably have it in some form or fashion. We also have residential services there that helps low income households in Franklin County. We are continuously watching what's happening at the State House and Washington DC and how it impacts Central Ohio in terms of policy and legislation, as well as plans to work out and engage with the community to get input and feedback and collaboration on all the different areas we work for. And as long with this, although we're primarily government, work with our local government, so forth, we also are a key partner to businesses and other nonprofits in the region. So as you probably heard, hopefully you've heard, and we've talked about this quite a bit over the last many years. And about a year ago, we sort of re-updated our population projections for the region. We're 2.4 million population right now in that 15-county area, with projections to grow to more than 3.1 million population by the year 2050. And that's what we're here for, is to try to look forward to that. I'm here focused on a transportation aspect of our planning, but this growth affects many different areas with us. And, another way to look at that growth on the next slide is in terms of bar. So that's 700,000 more people than today. It's 270,000 households and jobs in the order of 350,000 more jobs by 2050 than we have here right now. And where is that growth occurring? It's everywhere, just like it has been for the last several decades. I've been with Morrissey for 31 years. I've been seeing this happen continuously since I started in the early 90s, and it was happening well before then. Growth throughout. There is no geographic thing that sort of hems us in our growth, like a river, a major river, or a lake, or anything like a couple of the other seas in Ohio have to sort of constrain the growth. We're growing in all areas. This is sort of where we're looking at, where it's going to grow the most between now and 2050. On the left is sort of, growth of it, and on the right is sort of, where are the more dense and less dense areas of the region expected to be in 2050. And the next slide talks about that in terms of jobs. Where are those employment opportunities? The new employment opportunities is 350,000 jobs between now and 2050. Where are those going to occur throughout the region? The darker is, more of those jobs in those areas. And then on the right is sort of, where we are, the heart of the region, Franklin County, the heart of Columbus and those suburbs with the existing jobs. They'll continue to be sort of the heart of where the jobs, but it is spreading throughout all the counties. There's no county really being left behind in this growth of people and jobs. And one for us, Ohio wouldn't actually be growing in terms of population and so forth. So we are driving the entire state in the growth of the region and the state. So this is sort of some background for me to get to what I'm really here today to talk about is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. That's the regional plan that we have to do as part of our federally designated role as the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the Columbus urbanized area. And those previous charts and maps showed the 15-county area we work in. The MPP and our Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO role, really focuses on the Columbus urban area. So it's really, the rest of this is really focused on Franklin County, Delaware County, and little parts of Union, Licking, and Fairfield County within our region. So we put together this transportation plan. It's federally required. We do this, and we do updates to it every 4 years. It's looking out 20+ years for our transportation strategies and needs. It's looking at how much resources we expect to come into the region to actually implement these transportation needs. So why is it important? Why do we do this? As I just showed you, we're growing. And also our demographics are changing. The travel needs of the population today is a little different than it was, 20, 30 years ago, partially because we're an aging population, so their needs are different. We have a different focus than we had 10, 20, 30 years ago on what we feel as what we need for transportation. So the demands are changing, and so that's why we have to continuously update this on this 4-year cycle. One of the things is there's a lot of funding out there and a lot of federal transportation funding. It is key and important that any project that wants to use federal transportation funds is on this metropolitan transportation plan. And when we're doing this and putting this together, it's not Morpsey, it's not our staff, it's not people working down in our offices to do this. It is the region. It is the region's plan. It's what each individual community is going to do to help advance this vision for our transportation system. And we partner with all those local governments and others to help implement these strategies and projects for our region. So as we begin that process, we update every 4 years. It's really 2 years of pretty significant work going through this. And we start with identifying some transportation goals, or basically how can transportation help advance these regional goals when it comes to providing for and improving sustainable neighborhoods, to make sure we're employing technology and collaborating together to get maximize return on our investment, continuing to position Central Ohio for that economic growth that we've been enjoying and want to continue enjoying. And as we grow better, we grow bigger. We grow bigger, we grow better as we're going through that. And make sure we're transportation that serves all people and it's safe. And while we're doing these transportation, and we also work to ensure it protects the natural environment and help reduce our energy consumption. As we start out this process, we don't start by just looking at ourselves. We actually start with what people have already identified, what local governments have already identified. After we dealt with the goals and we create some measurable targets of where we stand today, we look at local comprehensive plans, capital improvement programs, thoroughfare plans, the other studies that have already been done to help identify plans, like the Hilltop 2020 study activity did of sort of identifying some transportation needs in there, and how does that all fit in? So what we're doing is sort of taking all of the information, looking at it from a regional perspective, but using that as the basis. And then we have our own, using it as a population point forecast, what's the demands on the transportation system going to be? There's some travel forecasting and modeling and sort of identify what those travel patterns are, where there's going to be deficiencies in the transportation system, and go through that to identify those projects. We also go through a process where we can, earlier this summer, we compiled all the information we gather, we put it out on an interactive map and open it up to the public where you can actually draw in, what are we missing? What did we not pick up in all of our analysis and review of documents so far, and allow people to comment and provide additional projects. And somewhere around 150 projects were identified by people drawing them on the interactive map we have for us to look at for consideration in the transportation plan. So the next slide sort of outlines sometimes what I call kind of the meat of the plan is strategies. There is 78 different strategies in our plan that center around maintaining what we have. There's a significant investment in our transportation system here already, but what are strategies? What we need to do to make sure it stays in a good physical condition, or improve its physical condition if there's areas that it's not. How can we use technology and work to maximize the efficiency of it as it is right now without significant expansion? How can we work to reduce the demand in those peak hours to release some of that congestion that occurs at that time? And of course, something that's always priority is safety. How can we make sure the transportation system is as safe as possible? That's, reduce those crashes and reduce those, especially those crashes that are serious injury or fatal crashes, and crashes that involve the most vulnerable populations like those that are walking and biking. So that's sort of the first set of strategies. And then we're growing. we know we have deficiencies in this transportation system, whether it's gaps in our bike and pedestrian areas that we know we need to fill in and complete. Because those weren't priorities, 20 and 30 years ago, as I mentioned, to make sure there's pedestrian facilities everywhere. How can we improve our transit system, to make it a more robust transit system that can serve our needs better? Freight is an important area and logistics is an important area for our region. How do we make sure we can making investments and improvements that actually make their operations as efficient as possible as well? The roadways are still the backbone of the transportation system. So there will be spots where there are bottlenecks, where there are congestion points, where there are new facilities needed and expanded facilities needed. So what are those that are needed? And then in places where we need is connections and hubs between nodes, what are those type of things? So those are the various strategies that we have in line. So then that leads us to a specific strategy of expanding the transportation system, gets us to what a lot of people sort of focus on when they go to the plan is what's the map of projects? What are the projects that's going to go on? Well, the projects here we map are those system expansion projects. We don't map every maintenance activity and every bridge replacement here in the plan, but we know those are part. That's part of those more than $8.4 billion activities of managing and operating the system as efficient as possible. You can see on this pie chart, the largest area is the transit system. I'll touch on that in just a second. Of more than almost $13 billion of a $35 billion of resources we expect to be available to maintain and expand a transportation system across freeways, interchanges, transit, and maintaining what we have, as well as almost $2 billion specifically on standalone bike and pedestrian projects. Speaking specifically of transit, hopefully you're aware of in this corridor, you should be well aware of the Link-Us activity that's going on of putting best rapid transit along various corridors. West Broad, of course, is one of the first corridors that's leading about a 60% design of moving that way. But in total in that, what we can expect to have in our Metropolitan Transportation Plan in the fiscally constrained resource available, 5 BRT corridors throughout.
Security to the front desk, please. Security to the front desk, please. Thank you.
So there's the 3 that's under development now, West Broad, East Main, and the Northwest Corridor at Olentangy and out through Dublin. Those have sort of started a process about three years ago, sort of the initial planning, deciding on an alignment, deciding on the mode being bus rapid transit, and working through various stages of design and working towards a process of getting full funding for this. The Link-Us initiative identifies 2 more corridors that can be in that fiscal constraint. And we went through a process towards the last part of last year of sort of narrowing down other possible corridors, and believe a corridor from downtown to the airport, Easton and beyond is one of those corridors that would be there in that swath of purple there. We need to go to those initial planning stages and go, okay, what's the alignment, what's the mode to sort of start stepping through that, as well as the corridor to the south, whether it's southeast, southwest. We need to, once again, do some additional study to help narrow that down to where it is. So 5 BRT corridors is in there. Those more orange swaths are sort of additional studies. Part of that's additional studies we need to start looking at some other corridors. The sort of arc over the north side, the region north to outer belt there, 270 is the result of some initial studies done by, that was led by ODOT and the Intel and Pataskla areas of how can we improve transit service to those areas and across that northern arc of the region. So there's some studies that will continue to be studied and looked at to try to see if we add additional robustness to the transit system. The next slide sort of gets back to that project, sort of the road and bike pedestrian project map, specifically to the Greater Hilltop Mission area of a few of the red things are some of the widenings of new roads in this area. The green are those standalone bike and pedestrian projects of some type. That yellowish orange colored are things where maybe it's some spot improvements at intersections or improving the operations of a road, maybe adding some turn lanes along a series of intersections, center turn lanes, something more minor in nature, but still making some impact on the capacity of there. You see a couple of dots at the 270 interchanges there related to everything. Long term, there's additional improvements that'll be needed there to help the efficiency and operation of those interchanges. So next up is, like I said, we've been working on this for more than 2 years of updating those goals and measures, as population projections, compiling these candidate projects. We're at a point now where we have a lot of drafters. We're very close to having a complete draft document available and posted on our website. There with more details. We are looking towards adoption of this in May. Next slide, please. I just wanted to reemphasize Linkus again. I hope you've heard about it. If not, please Google it if you haven't. They have a website with information. And it is, although the BRT bus rapid transit or high capacity rapid transit is kind of a focus of it, but it is more than that. One particular aspect of that is funding through the Linkus initiative. The help will provide funding for sidewalks and help make that transit supportive infrastructure to actually, it's not just the transit service itself, but helping to make those connections and making you be able to access those transit stops, access the transit stations and so forth. As well as additional more than about 45% more service just region-wide in the Dakota system. So beyond the bus rapid transit corridors, it's perhaps more geographic coverage of where Dakota buses run. Perhaps it's increase in frequency of buses, where some buses run maybe every hour now, they may be able to make them every 30 minutes instead. So this Linkus initiative is more broad. It's not just VRP corridors. It's about more service overall and providing facilities that makes it easy to access the transit system. And just to wrap up here, excuse me. So we are in basically a public comment period with information on our website. We have these series of meetings where we've been going out to area commissions and neighborhood associations like this. We've been going out to council trustee meetings, village and city council presentations to let them know about where we are, what's the process is, and how we're moving towards that. I encourage you, if you're available, get to our website, look at the information there. There's going to be some more information coming up in the next few days there. So completely fill that out, along with more information that I have here tonight at the March 19th open house. And with that, the next slide is just the contact information of the key folks that's working on there. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or feel free to follow up with me, either the contact information or anyone on that screen for additional questions.
So you had a slide a few slides ago that showed some of the pedestrian and bikeway pathways, and there were like small segments of green. And I was trying to, I can't see well enough, right? Is that basically filling in the gaps of the current bike system?
It's a couple different things. There's part of this is Central Ohio Greenways Trail. We want that to be fully built out. That is going to be fully built out in our transportation plan. And a lot of it is maybe some individual multi-use paths or trails and so forth there, as well as filling in gaps. And what you don't see here, we have a goal in our transportation plan that every arterial and collector street in the urban area have a sidewalk on it. So that may be additional gaps beyond those. Those were some more specifically identified ones through various processes that been brought out to us. But we have a performance measures that every arterial and collector has a sidewalk on it in any area that's urbanized.
I guess I have two questions. So we talked a lot of Morpsey has a lot of programs on their websites. And I was just wondering if there's any way to kind of disseminate how those programs are affecting the hilltop in general when it comes to, I guess, the air quality and what Morpsey is doing to better improve that in the hilltop. Like we were talking about just briefly with the map of getting sidewalks and building out trail connections, just more information if we can kind of either receive that through email later on of how Morpsey is getting those projects completed or started in the hilltop. I think would be very beneficial because I see a lot of studies and plans of what Morpsey wants to see and get done. It's just how can we as the Greater Hilltop Area Commission push to get those started and finished?
That's a very good question, and sometimes it's hard to really answer that because we are a planning commission. We don't implement projects. You mentioned air quality. We do have some air quality program for air quality alerts. We have purple air monitoring, where we're actually working to put localized air monitors around the region to try to gauge if there's different air quality around the region. There's lots of different things we do is planning. I guess I suggest if you have specific information you want, understand a little bit more, reach out to us and reach out to, in those contacts and direct you to where if there's specific things you're looking for, what you want to see, how is this benefiting that? When it comes to implement, we're planning and the MPP, a lot of things to do, it's us as a region, it's not us as staff, it's the 85 member governments, it's the city of Columbus, your Prairie Township, Franklin Township, they're the implementer, so it's working with them to help implement what we've identified as needs for, in this case, transportation, but whether it's air quality or water quality or water, quantity and so forth, it's a lot. They're the implementers, the local governments that are there, and we work and collaborate and really work to bring them together, especially on cross-jurisdictional issues like air quality, for example, or a facility that crosses boundaries, how can we work together to make it happen?
And then I do have a second question for transportation. Do you have any update or more information about the 3CD Amtrak study that's been already funded? I just know as the Hilltop, we would be directly affected with one of the lines from Cincinnati to Dayton. The CX tracks actually go through our boundaries. So if you have any more information about that, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, a little bit on that is, yes, you aren't familiar. We worked with a couple different partners to work to get intercity passenger rail service back. In December, Federal Railroad Administration announced 2 corridors that would go through Columbus that they have identified to take the next steps. One is the 3C&D, which is Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati corridor that would go through there. Ohio Rail Development Commission is actually the lead on that activity. Another corridor was the Chicago, Fort Wayne, Columbus, Pittsburgh corridor, and Fort Wayne MPO is actually the lead on there. So what this first step, what the announcement in December was about was providing $500,000 for each of those corridors. So $500,000 to RDC for the 3C&D line and $500,000 to Fort Wayne for the Chicago, Fort Wayne, Columbus, Pittsburgh line to really scope out what the studies need to make it happen. So it's really to get a consultant on board to sort of scope out the full scope of what environmental studies, service planning studies, station location studies, and so forth. So that first step, but what we understand is it's almost, you get a consultant, figure out what that is, what that scope is, get that figured out, you're automatically go to the next steps, where they will provide 90% of the next step of doing the environmental, setting up the whole service plan and so forth. So we are actually in the door and we're working towards that. It's still years away to actually make it reality, but we are stepping through that. And like I said, the 3C&D is being led by our Rail Development Commission, where we've been a strong supporter and passionate pushing it forward. And we will continue to be there to provide whatever support we can on that. And we're a little more of a closer partner with Fort Wayne on helping them and, partnering and helping that particular corridor move forward. There was another question over here first.
Yeah, I guess my question is, when you're talking about, we're doing a lot of research, right, or case studies on this, are you guys also is that part of looking at what other organizations or other companies or other cities are as well doing? Are you looking at other models, or are you guys starting from scratch when you're talking about the research that you're doing?
Well, when we're talking about the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, never starting from scratch, because we always have the old one to build off of. And we're looking 20 years out. So of all those things you saw on the map, only a few of those will actually get built for the next few years, and we'll sort of reassess how things are changing there. And we're always looking, if we go to conferences, we're always looking at best practices on how to do things when it comes to, every single aspect up there of making the existing roadway more efficient, bringing that information back to the city of Columbus. ODOT looked at their system and they see what other parts of the country is doing as well and so forth. So we're always looking at best practices, when it comes to safety and accommodating bike and pedestrians and making sure it's a complete street for all users, when we're talking about, the arterials and collectors, so forth, like Hague Avenue right here outside us.
Thank you. I have two questions for you. The first one involves public comments and public participation. I did find the map on your website, and it's pretty comprehensive, so thanks for sharing that. I'm wondering, well, so one of these is project 399, which is a freeway widening right here at 670 in Broad. All 6 comments are against it. And I'm wondering if, like, how you then will incorporate that. Is there a chance that you would still decide to do it? Yeah, just if you could expand a little bit about how public comments get incorporated and, yeah.
Definitely take into consideration, I have a look at that one here.
Yeah.
Recently didn't know exactly what the comments were when they were, there's a balance, and the transportation is a system. Like I mentioned before, there's gaps in the bike and pedestrian network that needs to build up. It's not as interconnected as the street system is. So, and a lot of times comments are about, I don't know the specific, a lot of times some organizations will be completely against anything that's widening the freeway because they think that's a completely wrong thing that we need to spend elsewhere. But it's a system. We need the freeway systems to connect us to other parts of the region and to get us around from one end of the region to the other. We need good arterial systems. We need good sidewalks and pedestrian and bike paths. So it's a system. We need the good transit as well. So it depends on the nature of exactly what we see the rationale is, why that particular one is. It's just down to 2 lanes in each direction in that area between 670 until you get to the Interbelt. It's probably the narrowest part of the freeway system leading in and out of the downtown anywhere in our region. So that's why it's been identified as Griffith's Curve. It's there. So they'll come to consideration. It's not that particular project. There isn't really a lot of movement right now. We just identified as a future, and as traffic grows, it's a congestion point that it'll need to be looked at. So having it on the MTP. There isn't an active activity right now. The downtown Columbus Crossroads ramp up project, whatever its current name is, I've been around since it was started in 2001 to study into that, many different things. There's still the 315 interchange area see lots of stuff there, but that actually isn't the final full build out of what that was. They had, more improvements from 315, west out around the Broad Street that had that in there as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the general question, I get that whether these people, commenting were, making the best comment, it was, I'll put it this way. You're right. I appreciate hearing the system approach to it because it is a bigger connectivity to the region. So second question I have then is if you could talk just a little bit about the role of density in the urban core in terms of housing and economic development, and how does that support then major transportation planning?
Yeah, that's always important to know that's information. Transportation development is linked. I mean, you can't have one without the other. If you develop somewhere and you don't have a transportation system that needs to connect either people to the jobs that are there or people to, if it's a retail, people to why it's there to begin with, you have a problem. But then, if you build a facility and then there's no development, why did you build a facility? So it's hand in hand. It's trying to marry those things up. So those projections in those earlier slides are sort of the where growth is occurring slide. That's a key fundamental part of how we're going in. Those are based on what, City of Columbus, what Dublin, what the suburb is, what's their plans for their community. We've sort of pulled that together, identified, they've identified this area for residential, they've identified this area for warehousing, this area for office. So we take that, what each individual community is planning and thinking, as well as how much density they're wanting, sort of bring that together to region level to see what all is happening at the regional level. And then we work from that. That's sort of the ways that sort of, a lot of it's the land use plan and depending on the type of when that occurs in the project development process, rezoning process, then some different information. And you guys are well aware of how that works. That comes into play of, you know, maybe there's some traffic impact study done, there's a lot of it and some specific improvements right there. A lot of times there's just those very front door things. They don't necessarily get to the larger system or the longer travel to come in and out. So they definitely go hand in hand, do that, particularly with transit. Density is critical to making transit a feasible and cost-effective way to move people around.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know, just jumping into like the costs, I know that ODOT has mentioned, trying to find a new funding model for replacing aging infrastructure. Is any part of, this plan and project want to focus on how to keep up the aging cost, like the ever-ending cost of, aging infrastructure when we're talking about just adding more widening bridges? I mean, even I go through downtown every morning and it's well, this is a $60 billion project, but it's gonna age in 10, 20, 50 years. And it's, how are we gonna handle the never-ending cost of just replacing, our infrastructure here in Franklin County and around the surrounding suburbs?
That's a good question. The assumptions we made for the fiscal constraint, fiscal analysis part of that is continuing levels of today with modest growth. I mean, that's been historical, the case. And we know ODOT and many of the communities has a fix it first, that they go through the process of figuring out what they need to maintain their current system at an acceptable physical condition. That's where the money goes first before expanding, unless there's some outside funding source comes up. Their general revenues is, 95% of all the funds ODOT does is to maintain what they have, not expand the system, although the expansion one really gets the highlights. The everyday work is where the vast majority of their funds go. And many of our locals do the same thing, expand that. We have a relatively good system, partially as a byproduct of our growth, because we build a lot of new facilities to do that, and that helps get the system newer. From the federal perspective, every 5-6 years is a new federal transportation bill. Over 30 years or longer, it always adds more funding to the transportation to help keep us not too far falling behind with that. ODOT in particular, looked at, they call it an alternative revenue study. I haven't got a chance to dive into the details of it. It was just recently released to realize the gas tax is not a sustainable model going forward because of more fuel efficiency, electric vehicles, and so forth. So, what are ways that, and those questions aren't specifically addressed other than we'll discuss some of these different mechanisms in the plan, but really the assumption is those will get figured out over time and that we will have enough funding to come in to do what we need to do to maintain what we have and provide for the growth that we can to some extent. The project we showed there, not everything that we had identified was included in the plan because it was more than $35 billion. That was just that was what we feel is a reasonable assumption for the resource that will come into the region.
When you talked about it being a system, I love that. I love kind of thinking about how do you make things move most efficiently, in all these different diverse ways. I'm wondering though, is there a check in the process to look at quality of life issues? Like, for example, there is a proposal on the map to connect Broad Street to Grandview Avenue between 2030 and 2040, as projected and plans and ideas. And I'll say I've been driving along 670 and I've often thought, man, it'd be really cool to have a road right here just to bypass that congestion there at 670 and 70. But then the plan has the new road going straight through the middle of Burns Park, which is one of, a very popular park. Lots of diverse communities utilize that park. Lots of different activities are used there, which would be a loss. Even if it improved the system, it'd be a loss for the neighborhood and the communities.
Yeah, to somewhat it is here. These are identified at Rhodes Park. I played softball there years ago when they actually still played softball at Rhodes Park. it is a concept that came from a plan, and each one of these particular projects will then have its own project development activity. Will then have its own need to identify more specifically, what is the purpose and need of the project? You know, what is the trade-offs? And is that acceptable or not acceptable? So, there's a little bit of discussion about some of the things to go consideration, but from our regional plan perspective, sort of vision, that's a bit about as far as it goes, other than identifying. Now, each project will need to go through a process. Each project will need to have an implementing agency sort of take it through that steps. What is it now? What does it need to be? You know, how many lanes does it need to be? How's it gonna, be a complete street, when it's something like that? And is it dividing something? And if you're dividing something, those trade-offs and pros and cons, is it really acceptable once you get to that level? Some of these things were really just gonna be just a concept line on that, that needs those next steps.
Are there any questions from, our residents or audience? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't even have to call yet. You were all ready. Come on up. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan DeBoth. I'm the Executive Director of Hilltop Rise. Thank you for allowing me to just give some updates. I wanted to bring some things to our I have city council on my mind. You are not city council. You're our area commission to your attention, as well as the greater community. So March 8th, I just would like to remind people that we have a 9 a.m. Place Pillars Subcommittee meeting. That's a virtual meeting. If you would like to attend, please reach out to myself or Danny Peterson to make sure that you have that link. Something that we'll be updating on then is the 614 vehicle grant that we applied for and received, which is the Broad Street Unification Project with the public art and multimodal transportation pieces. So if you'd like to hear more on that update, please feel free to attend. And then I also wanted to plug April 6th, the Cleaner Columbus meeting. This is an initiative that was started by Councilmember Ramey. We are in collaboration with the Department of Neighborhoods, Keep Columbus Beautiful, and the Department of Refuse, launching a comprehensive litter and illegal dumping campaign here in the Hilltop. April 6th will be our kickoff. We'll be canvassing 4 square blocks, handing out some trash bags, doing some canvassing and cleanup. We'd encourage all of you to join us. There's a event on our website as well as Facebook.
Wait, so is that the local barber shop that we went to the other day? I'm just wondering that picture.
Yeah, that
Is that
barber shop is near Burgess and Sullivan.
No, not the one that we went to. Okay.
And then
So
I did want to plug our Empowering Business series. This is a series that's meeting the second Tuesday of each month, 6:30 to 7:30. I appreciate all the talk about Link Us, the BRT, and Zone In, because we're having that next week, Tuesday night, 6:30 to 7:30. So if you'd like to hear what's going on and how that could impact our community, please attend. That's here at the library. Light refreshments will be available. Scan the QR code to register. We are asking for registrations just because we're providing refreshments and we want to make sure that everyone has something to snack on. And then our April topic is navigating the beneficial ownership reporting requirement under the Corporate Transparency Act. This is under FinCEN. Every small LLC needs to register by the end of the year. So we want to make sure that we give you all the information needed in order to do that. ECDI and LASCO will be presenting at that one. And then if you have any questions, feel free to hit me right now or email me or give me a call.
I think, Commissioner Manhattan had a question. Did you have a question?
I did. The previous event that you guys are scheduling, the cleanup on, is it Oakley and Rod? Are we notifying the residents as well? Cause I mean, not at a time, they're not really listening to us or watching these videos, right? But how do we make sure that they're aware of this, as this event as well, so that they're engaged and they're part of the discussion?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we're doing that cleanup event, because we're knocking on doors in canvassing day of. So if they're not necessarily listening now, there's not, I don't have a way to reach them necessarily.
I think we could do it. I mean, we could, there are some ways that we can connect to them. Like us going to them, not just knocking on the door and saying, hey, here's some trash bag, clean up your neighborhood. But maybe also like, hey, we're doing this, could you be part of this and it's scheduled on this day, but by maybe knocking on some of those doors on the businesses, like here's the barbershop, right?
Oh.
I mean, and some of those barbershops that are on Broad Street or Sullivan, if you go in there and let them know about the event with some flyers, they can hand it out to some residents.
Oh,
See if
yeah,
they can
and
participate, so.
that's the intention of ours. It's also in our newsletter, we have just over 200 small businesses subscribe to our newsletter. So all this is going out public. It's on our social media. It will reach folks as well as we can, which includes some hands-on. I do want to provide a clarification. So the trash bags aren't to encourage people to clean up. They're for residential use. So we're trying to stop the leakage of trash when they're actually being distributed during their refuse day. There was a pilot done in Franklinton where it was wildly successful. So that's what we're hoping to do. So we're not just giving out a trash bag and saying, hey, come out and clean up right now. We're encouraging them to just dispose of their waste properly.
And if there's some flyers, I can take some out. I mean, I can hand them out. So.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from commissioners? Any from our audience? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have reports of officers. Chairperson Fry has no report.
None.
So we have Secretary Arthur.
Yes, I have one update regarding the paid note taker position that we're seeking. We did not receive any responses in the last month from principals or guidance counselors at the area high school. We had discussed giving them the opportunity for right of first refusal. So I will be reaching back out to them, but we'll move into a second phase to expand the network. So I will be sending you all some language that you can use to share with young people. We're looking for rising juniors and seniors who are interested in civics, government, politics, journalism, community affairs, community engagement. It will be paid and you will be provided with technology. And so if anyone here tonight, community members, or anyone listening at home has a young person who is interested in joining the commission as a paid note taker role, not a commissioner, you do get to vote. But you will join us each Tuesday and then work with myself or another commissioner to complete the minutes and redistribute. I'm happy to answer any questions now or later. Just be on the lookout, commissioners, because I'll send you the language.
Are there any questions for Commissioner Arthur regarding his announcement? No. Okay, next up is our treasurer.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks OLBC for all the updates. It's very helpful. The constant contact bill was paid for this last month. And then usually I have at least the last meeting for the first time I had a report that I just created, but I'm gonna need, I still want to report the expenses of the commission, even though we don't necessarily have to. I think it's important that we still keep track of that even without appropriations. So I'll have a new report next meeting, but there really hasn't been any activity since then. So, yeah, that's my report.
Okay, thank you so much. Next is reports of committees, and first up is zoning.
Yeah. Rachel is under the weather tonight, so she is not here, and so I've been tasked as co-chair to lead this section. We have one application this evening, Z24 003. This is the U-Haul facility, located at 775 Georgesville Road. And we do have folks from the facility. I don't know if you all you gentlemen want to come up and present, or if just one of you, but feel free to come on up to the microphone and share. The quick overview is they're looking to build a new facility. This is a modification of their current plan and their current use on the site, to put up a new building where existing parking lot is for storage. And I know that doesn't quite summarize it, and you all do a better job summarizing, I'm sure.
Okay, great, thank you. Do you have other slides or just that one?
Whatever you would like. I haven't received anything from anybody.
Okay.
Put it that way. So I've got the application. That's all I have, or I have that picture. Or I can play around on Google Maps, whatever you do.
Nope, I have paper from the sets that I had at the zoning committee is why I was asking.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I will. I've taken dollars.
Yeah, Rachel, you know, board years.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, yeah.
Rachel, did you receive your?
Oh, okay. I don't know, like, saying.
Yeah, it's just the application on the side.
Yeah. You can get that.
I ask you, do you take the city form or do you?
Do I, or do you? I do, okay.
I always bring paper because the different commissions handle it differently, so.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Want to help me out with this, please? Turn it on.
Testing. Yeah, you have a low battery set.
Here's a hand mic, yeah, just take the mic.
Me and my wife both have low batteries.
Check 1, 2.
Thank you. My name is Dave Perry. I'm a consultant on zoning matters, and in this case, U-Haul Central Ohio. Let me introduce Dean Haskey also. Dean, if you want to wait, thank you. Dean is with U-Haul Central Ohio, and his office is at the 775 Georgesville Road facility. So you're all familiar with this location, 775 Georgesville. And let me run through briefly the materials in the paper that was passed out, and then I'll come back to each. You have some photographs. Yep, thank you. Photographs, aerial photograph of the site, and then some ground shots. The U-Haul site is 32 acres, and it is already zoned limited manufacturing for the U-Haul storage facility. But let me draw your attention to the entrance at Climb Road, and let's see, right there, the pavement just onto the site at the Climb Road entrance. Yep, there we go, thank you. That's what this application is about. The site is zone limited manufacturing from a 2013 ordinance passed at City Council. And that ordinance was conditioned on a site plan. And in your packet, this is the site plan except what we've changed for tonight's proposal. So nothing is changing at the site other than that triangular area on the south side of that entrance drive aligned with Climb and in front of the white roof buildings. So on the 2013 site plan, that area was shown as vehicle parking, display vehicles, or office.
And the office in general in Central Ohio is struggling. And it has certainly struggled here. There has not been a viable office building use for this site. And so the purpose of this rezoning is to change the site plan of the 2013 ordinance through this rezoning action to permit an additional storage building at that location. And in your packet, I don't know if any of you want to see this at this point, but there's a complete copy of the zoning application as submitted to the city. And it's, as you can see, it's a request to rezone from LM limited manufacturing to LM limited manufacturing, and the sole purpose is to change the applicable site plan. You have a copy of the limitation text, and this is, there are some minor changes relative to permitting the proposed building, but otherwise what is currently in effect in the 2013 ordinance. And then this packet shows you the building that U-Haul proposes to build. Now, Dean, you do a good job of explaining the container business that U-Haul is handling, and I would like you to explain that part of it, and what's going to be in this building. And I'll hold this up.
Okay. This building is going to be a warehouse for our U-Box containers that we ship all over the nation and all international. And what people do is we deliver them to their house, they load them up, and then we take them and we either store them, and when they say, okay, it's time to ship, then we ship them, or we just store them there until they're ready for them to go to their new house. It's a very attractive building. It sits off to the side, doesn't really interfere with any of our existing businesses. I think it's something that something that we need. I think it's a service that the neighborhood definitely needs, the west side.
So this, thank you for, are you controlling the screen? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Right in the center of the screen, towards Georgia Hill Road, thank you, where your cursor is located. That's what this zoning is about, to permit that building. And Dean, this is not, these are not individual storage units. This is not public access like some of your other types of storage. It's the shipping pods.
Right. There's the only access into the building is our employees.
Right.
We look to employ, probably another 4 employees into the building. We currently have over 60 employees on that site right now. So, but it's no public access at all. No.
So that's commissioners, that's what this zoning is about, to rezone to permit a different site plan showing the building that we've depicted for U-Haul's container business. That's a good shot with the at the entrance of Georgesville, at Climb in Georgesville, and the building site would be on the left there.
Right up there.
Yep. That truck's in just the right place. And then to the right is, yep, there we go, the brick building. That's more traditional U-Haul storage units that's already built.
When the zoning committee heard this, we voted 5-0 to recommend the approval of this application. Is there any discussion then do I do that, or do you? Is there any conversation or discussion from the commission?
Was there any comments or recommendation from the city that like reviewed this and made any comments?
Yeah, I don't believe so.
There was a request for additional street tree planting on Georgesville, which U-Haul has agreed to do.
Yeah.
So the buffering landscaping items, as well as the the no disturbance zone for the preservation area stays.
Right. Yeah. There'll be additional street trees along Georgesville, but the other commitments are the same.
Did you agree to the other recommendations from the city? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to confirm, there are no residential areas to the east along Klein or Georgesville. It's only to the west on the far side of your property where there, it looks like there's some apartments there.
There's an apartment complex there across the road is McDonald's and, I think post office.
Great.
Yeah, and then off to the, south is all those woods.
Right.
Which is owned by the city of Columbus.
Which is, yeah.
It's our conservation area.
Yeah, the new building's not anywhere near any housing.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any public comment on this proposal? Any other commissioners?
Mine would just be, additional street trees, and then any trees, because I know you have like 4 or 5 of these, islands in the parking lots. If there are dead trees in those, they could just be replaced. And I know the conservation district just south of where the new building's gonna be, if there could be additional trees in there, I'd be all for that. By no means am I trying to put that into the text of the zoning, but I would appreciate it to just see it. Just out of good faith of trying to improve the air quality on the west side. I know that you guys are directly next to the conservation district with the city, but you do have a lot of open green space that could accommodate more trees.
Right. Well, we made the commitment to the zoning committee and to the city staff about more street trees on Georgesville, and that is provided for. We'll look at whether there's other places for trees. As far as any dead trees in existing islands, the city code requires that they be replaced.
And they will be, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I move that we approve this application. Do we have a second?
Dallas. All right, and we will start the roll call, and I will start with co-chair Bates. Are you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take those. And then moving from my left, Commissioner Stryker.
Yes.
Yes, from me, Commissioner, Martin.
Yes.
Commissioner Maddox.
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fagan. Commissioner White.
But to be clear, you did agree to all of the terms from the city on the page 2 when it comes to the buffering.
Yeah, let me double check what you're looking at under C.
Yes.
Yes.
You agree to all of them.
Yeah, and those are actually, most of this is a repeat of the 2013 ordinance, so those are conditions of the 2013 ordinance that have been repeated.
Okay, then yes, I also yes.
Commissioner Gibbon.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. There's no, against and no abstain. That's unanimous.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
On the city form, do you email that, or do I take the paper?
Commissioner Bates, actually, you email it to the city, right?
I email it to the city.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what Rachel, so just check with Rachel.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Okay.
But that's what happened, yes. She notified.
Rachel's still training me on all the technicalities, so I will get this to all taken care of.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. I'm just asking because the commissions handle it differently. Some of the commissions hand me back the piece of paper and I'm supposed to send it. Others
Yeah.
don't want the paper. They fill it out online.
Yeah,
And so-
we
so just,
email, for that stuff. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you all.
Uh-huh.
Do you want these back, by the way?
If you don't want them, you're welcome to them. Or if you don't want them, I'll take them.
Thank you.
That's it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next report of committee is community relations, Chairperson Josh Maddox.
So we met a week ago, we met on the 27th, and continue to talk about the summit. There are meeting minutes out there, but basically, we've got a few topics that we talked about, that we would like to move forward with. Next steps are to reach out to the speakers, individuals that we would like to potentially come in and speak, make sure they're available. But we're targeting June 8th at Briggs Road Baptist Church to be the date and location. Believe we discussed 9 a.m. kind of as an earlier start time, but that is TBD still as well. We have a meeting coming up on the 26th at 7 p.m. at the Design Refinery, 11 North Westmore Avenue. I believe they've actually changed the name now that I think about it. But that's it. What side?
Best Side Street.
Best Side Studio. Yes, I'll change that. But yeah, so 26th, 7 p.m. We'll continue to talk about guest speakers, and for each committee that had submitted potential guest speakers throughout this month, please reach out and try and get some confirmations on that so we can start button things up. Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any zoning applications for your meeting this month?
So we have one that we didn't get to that no one came in last month. The food truck.
Right.
Down there, I'm blanking on the address, if everyone has that in front of them. And then I do not know if the Sullivan Police Substation will be back before us or not, next month or not.
Thank you.
Moving along. Government and legislation.
So we did also meet last week. If you have not, please look at the meeting agenda for February. There are dates in there just permanently for when we do, or if we do have an election this year. If you do see any issue with the date of the election being on the 5th of October, such as other community events, please let me know. Or if you do see any other events going on in the community, like the farmer's market, where we could possibly set up and have an election spot, please let me know. We're looking to have, again, maybe three election locations. But again, please look at those dates. We're hoping to have the petition formatted, updated and out, well, not out, but updated this month, and then will be made available to the public June 30th.
Any questions? Okay. So human services and education. Chairperson Joe.
Thank you very much. Sure, too. All right, we had good meeting last month, which was the 21st. Our next meeting will be the 20th, Wednesday, the 20th, 6 p.m. here at the library. We had great turnout. We had 4 commissioners and 6 community members participating for a total of 10. Major topics in the evening, spring community summit, and then community and commission engagement with Columbus City Schools facilities master planning. And one of our community, actually 2 of our community guests are intimately involved in that and on the task force and shared a lot of information. And so we will continue that engagement moving forward. Outside of the meeting, I've started pulling together an infrastructure inventory around Hilltop schools to help support some capital improvement ideas and also to help address some community safety issues that have come up just around schools related to traffic. Regarding budget, no additional expenses were anticipated from the committee other than what we've already used for our software. So unless there's any other objection, I think we're fine to push it back to the other committees to use for public outreach and printing and other things like that, that we already know are budgeted. And then finally, I spent some time over the weekend working the old email machine and just at the start of the year again, reaching out to our new commissioners, our new city councilors, as well as our city school board, just to put name and face together and let them know that we're here and we're interested in what's going on. And so again, the next meeting will be Tuesday, March 20th, at 6 p.m. here at the library. We encourage and welcome all community involvement, and we'd love to see you there. Happy to take any questions. Or if there's anything else that my committee members would like to share this. Please fill out the facility survey.
Next up is liquor permit review. Chairperson Stryker.
Yes, so we're going to be having a meeting following the zoning committee meeting on the 19th. Zoning committee starts at 6 p.m. and we're following that.
Thank you. Planning and Economic Development, co-chairs Dallas and Smith.
Thank you.
Yeah, so at our, so at our previous meeting, we discussed action steps to create a document similar to Franklin Area Commission for housing and development priorities to give to developers who want to develop on the hilltop. Our aim is to have these priorities aligned with the goals of Envision Hilltop. And we also had more discussion on the capital budget requests process, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Thanks to Commissioner Montana for the survey. Make sure you share that with your neighbors. It's really important that we get some good public input as we kind of improve this process. And then we'll continue these discussions and more at our next committee meeting, which is March 21st at 6 p.m. That's all I have.
Any questions? Okay. Public safety. Chairperson.
Yes. Co-chair. But
Well, the other one is not here, so.
All right, so we kind of met, Ashley and I was there, but some of the members weren't able to make it. But we did talk about the community relations event, what topics we're gonna have and discussions is gonna be regarding gun violence reduction. And then I think the keynote speakers, or at least the panelists that we want on that, I am still reaching out to some folks. I really want it to be folks from the community, that are very active in the community as far as on the streets. So there's a few people that I have in mind, which is, Coach, Tony Rice, maybe you and a few others, just because you guys kind of deal with that on a regular basis. And then, I did meet with Mercedes, from the, Zach Klein office. She's the community outreach coordinator. We're gonna look to see how we can partner, like the public safety committee, as well as that organization, to see how do we partner with, is it Halt Violence? That does a lot of community safety stuff, but they actually interact with community members. And some of the stuff that they do is very effective. So we want to see how we can partner with them, as well as some of our Grady Hilltop area residents. Next meeting is March 23rd at 11 a.m. here.
Thank you. Yeah. Any questions? 11 a.m. 11.
Yes.
30th?
23rd.
Okay. Last but certainly not least, Recreation and Parks. Chairperson White.
We did meet, our schedule for the summer is available and out. I do quickly want to go through, we're gonna be meeting this month, on the 16th. We're gonna start at Riverbend at 9 a.m. and then, within an hour, we're gonna make our way over to Alhire Woods Park by 10 a.m. Do want to plug that the April 20th Saturday meeting will be at Wilson. We're also hoping to get that event recognized as birthday cleanup with an affiliate. I do want to mention that the committee was asked about the tree equity program from Columbus Urban Tree Assistance. We will not be able to, well, it's already, we did. We were not able to put together the committee's needs to be able to actually apply for that. The program does require that, although we would have been an acceptable applicant to receive that program, but we would have needed to pay for the trees up front. But we will be working throughout the year to apply next year for the program, so that we can plant trees within the hilltop. They do have to just be on private property, which is another issue why we didn't apply this year, was just trying to identify where those trees would go and the timeline. We just had a lot more questions than answers by the 29th. Yes, and then Earth Day, Columbus 2024, like I said, we're gonna be meeting at Wilson Road Park at 9 AM to clean up. We also are gonna be working on the Columbus Forest Mastery Plan, and the Columbus Climate Action Plan. We're gonna try to pull those, review them this year as well, to see where the hilltop is stacking up on those reports. Like I said, our next meeting will be at Riverbend, 9 AM, and then we'll be at Alcar Woods at 10 AM. These are in-person meetings. Buckets, trash bags, and gloves will be provided. The committee is looking into purchasing yard signs to place in the parks when the committee will be out to do audits and cleanups. I'm gonna confirm with OLBC the list of recommended city vendors, as well as trying to figure out if the print shop can do yard signs. Do we have any questions or comments?
I saw you with your hand up.
Oh,
Eddie.
I don't know if this is relevant, but the deadline for that tree assistance program was extended.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, you know, you guys are already planning for next year, so.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. Great, now we move on to unfinished business. And so just about scheduling our finance committee meeting. And so, Commissioner Smith will be speaking to that.
Yeah, so we had talked about scheduling a meeting sometime in March or April. Just because just because there's been a new process change, I wanna actually extend it to sometime in the summer. That way, you know, a lot of those details have been finalized. And then, we will know, or we won't be budgeting like we have traditionally at that meeting. It will be more just kind of just having a large discussion on how we will operate within these new guidelines. But I'll email all of you later about availability. So
Thank you. And on to new business, which is a quite new business, but there was gonna be a little bit of discussion about the printed door cards. Do you have, yeah, okay. So, I was looking at it like, do you have something? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, so, Commissioner, Montana.
Yes, so we have door hangers that we've ordered previously that, the front side, just tell everyone what the area commission does, and when we meet the first Tuesday of the month at 6:30 at the Hilltop Library. It also has our website, Facebook, and the updated one has our Instagram. They previously had the commissioners listed for the year on the back of the door hanger, so that has been updated to reflect the current commission. It also has all of our email addresses, so I'm requesting that I was originally going to request that we spend the remainder of our funds on the door hangers, but now that the process has changed for fiscal, I would just like to request that we purchase, should I do a certain dollar door hangers or a certain quantity?
And so perhaps you could look to see what did we vote on that?
Last month.
Yeah, so what was it?
Wasn't that for a different?
It was,
I think
that was for
for
public safety flyers,
Okay,
Yeah, that was a
Okay.
separate flyer.
okay,
but I can still tell you what the
yeah, if you would.
cost was. Say it was the motion passed to approve the purchase of up to $300 worth of printed door hangers for the public safety.
So I think the motion should probably be quantity instead of price, and just because since technically we don't have a budget, and you know, I guess it'd be more up to Department of Neighborhoods, if something's not like, the right price.
There's a hand.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
We do need a quantity in the motion, in the approved motion.
Quantity.
Quantity.
Yeah, the amount, the
Yeah.
dollar amount.
The dollar.
The dollar
Okay,
amount.
so, okay.
Okay,
I think 300 is fine. I think that will get us a good chunk of door hangers. I was originally gonna request 1,000 door hangers, but I think $300 will get us that. The canvases that I led last year, we distributed over 1,000 to the hilltop, so I know we can get those out through the work that I do. And then also some of the other work that the committees have planned throughout the year. So yeah, I would request $300 for the updated door hanger. And I do have the design, if you saw the one previously, so yes, this is different from Public Safety's resident kit. This is a separate one. This is really just telling everyone about GHAC specifically, but I do have it. I apologize, I did not print a copy, but I can show you on my computer if you're interested. It's okay. I can
You
show
gonna show it?
everyone. Yeah, I can
Okay.
show everyone.
Okay.
One second.
I should clarify, I actually skipped over since the full text says 2,500 double-sided print at an expense up to 300. I just skipped over it because it was like, well, it's capped at 300 regardless of the amount.
So we have the quantity and
Yeah, we
the
have to do
amount,
the quantity.
the cost, okay.
2,000. We got the door hangers. Pretty basic. Front of the door hanger tells everyone what we do. And the top of, or the back of the door hanger, so the top is blank for both of them, because that's where the cutout is, and then get to know your commissioners and has all of our names and our email addresses. So again, it looks like it did previously, just has been updated to include new commissioners and then the Instagram account.
I don't mind having my email out there, but I do wonder, have you considered, or is the committee considered just having a version that's evergreen? That maybe just only has,
Like, doesn't have our names on it?
yeah, since those have to be updated every time new people come on. Well, unless it's not a problem.
I mean, I think we have the money to spend, so I would say that we should just get these and like, I think we can get all of these out
Oh,
this
yeah,
year.
change this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I would also say, I think it's important for, our residents to know who exactly is on the, because it is difficult, I think. I've heard from residents that it's difficult to really know who is on the commission, even though we have a election and we have a website. There's more ways to get the information out to our residents, so I'm all for it. Yeah, you got a motion?
Can I just ask a question?
No.
So, summer's a busy time with a lot of, opportunities for us to go and set up a table or a booth. So, in the past, we used a lot of these, even though they're door hangers, we used a lot of them just as an informational piece to pass out. So is the plan to use these in that same capacity, or are we gonna develop some other kinds of small pieces that do the same thing? Cause that's
Yeah.
quickly approaching.
I
Is it not a remote?
specifically, yeah, since the budget changes, happened like within the last couple of weeks. I was trying to get money spent down from this year, which is why I just focused on this. I can easily create something that's more of just a postcard, because I know we've used that in the past. It had the same information, so I can update. I have that file from Leia, because we were working on that together previously. So if we want to wrap that into the motion, I don't see why not. I know we've also ordered those magnets. But you're only gonna get to see it designed tonight, so I don't know how important it is. If you wanna give me the okay to like basically do this in a postcard format and we could order both, or if we should just focus on this tonight and next month I can come with new designs.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Sam is sitting there.
No.
Okay. The chair recognizes Fagan. So. Okay. Okay,
Oh, I just wanted to know, like you said, up 1,000 or up to $300, is that what it was?
It
You
was
said we need
2,500 or up to 300. For a max expense of 300.
And are you, kind of guessing like that's how many you'll need that you'll actually pass out? Cause I know like, I've been to 3 committees and we've all talked about getting door hangers.
Yeah.
So I
we
just
can get
don't,
more.
yeah, I just don't, cause like I want to use some, but I didn't know if you had already kind of like reserved what you're asking for. So I didn't know if it was also encompassing what everybody else was asking for, but like.
No, I mean, we
Might
could
just
definitely.
double it, 'cause I feel like we have really much more.
That was- The general
Yeah.
conversation was, we've got X amount of dollars, let's spend it all on door hangers. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants door hangers, but now we don't have restrictions, so.
I just know that like the summer is coming up.
Yeah.
This is what we can spend on it right now, what everybody's asked for. I just wanna make sure if we're gonna order them, if 1,000 is enough.
Yeah, no, I would be open to more. Yeah, originally the idea when this was added as a new business item was to spend the remaining amount of money. But since the fiscal policies have changed, I'm open to ordering more. I just know like through the work that I've done, we will order, or we will distribute at least 1,000 this year. So if other committee members are gonna use them, and I think we can also work with other events, like with what Hilltop Rise mentioned with the illegal dumping campaign and the litter cleanup, like that's another place where we can get them out, because they'll be door knocking. So do we need quantity of amount of door hangers and price?
Mostly price.
Mostly price.
Yeah.
Can I say up to $500 on door hangers?
we could propose
Yeah,
whatever.
not to exceed,
We just
yeah.
say, oh,
Okay, I'm gonna motion for up to $500.
Second.
Do it. All right, so that motion was.
so before we go further, I just want us to make sure that we're using the door hangers appropriately, right? If there's another way that we can, provide, like we're talking about the cards, like if that's more appropriate, because sometimes, folks may not use it. Let's just be, cognizant of the best method in distributing this information.
I will say with that, I can easily turn a door hanger into a postcard because I have a paper cutter.
Yeah.
Which I've done.
We're still go, we're still go.
I've done this, so.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Hilltop way, we'll just get.
yeah. So what's the motion on the floor?
So the motion on the floor is a request to purchase up to $500 worth of door hangers for a GHAC promotion.
Okay,
Motion by Martina, second by Ray.
okay. Was there a second?
Yes.
Okay, you seconded. So the motion was made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just ask that it be sent out for everybody to peer review it. I read my name and email address, and it is correct. So I just know that was the one issue in the past.
I will send it right now.
I mean, I know I reviewed it, but I don't know if anybody else. So let's get back to the business of the floor, so we can leave, so we can adjourn, okay? So. Okay, can we, stay focused? So we got the motion. It was seconded, right? Any discussion other than what we've already discussed?
So it's $500, I get it, but how many copies are we talking about? Because here's the thing, some of us are no longer gonna be in office after this year. So 500 is gonna get us what? 3,000 flyers, door hangers, because if that's the case, I mean, that's fine, I can see us passing that out. I'm just afraid that we're not gonna pass everything out. And then here we are by next year, half the team is gonna change.
But that was
Well-
partly my question too, is like, why not have a version that's evergreen that could be used? But I was asking that kind of as contrary, because I do think it's important that our neighbors, anybody listening, anybody who sees these, like, oh, well, I know that name, that's the person who lives over here.
I will not have a problem getting them out like this
Yeah,
year.
And I think it's just a goal for us to get them out,
Yeah.
right? Like this year, it's only March. We have plenty of time to get them out.
Yeah.
We don't wanna waste money. We don't, we wanna be good stewards. And so we just make sure you pass them out. Each committee gets them, you make sure you pass them out. And then we can come back and talk about, the cards if we need to. If you need to like cut them off, right? And just do what Ashley said, then we can do that as well. So can we?
Is it, do we voice or, all in favor?
Yeah, just one. Are we good? Any other discussion, questions, anything? For the good of the order, are we sure? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. All right. Anything, last thoughts, any short conversations, anything, anyone needs to say?
I motion to end.
I was getting there. I wanna make sure everybody, we like to talk, right? So here we go. I'm gonna actually do it. And so a motion is made to end the meeting. And who was the second? I know you guys do that, but we need to make sure we do it.
Yeah, no.
Probably second. Who made the second? Who motioned it? Who was the second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. And so all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now,